Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Reverend Dr. Aija Duelm. I'm the minister of this congregation, and I welcome you all to Community Unitarian Universalist Church here in Plano, Texas. So glad you're here in person. We're joining us online. We are streaming this service. We always stream our services, and then later on you can watch them on YouTube. Mark is editing our videos and posting them afterwards. We come here for different reasons. To find community, to seek spiritual and personal truth, to question, to nurture our soul, maybe to be nurtured, to explore new ideas, to find comfort, and perhaps to find answers to some big questions. We welcome you here. Our liberal faith calls us to engage our neighbor and to do so with love at the center. And this is not always easy. In fact, it is not easy most of the times. More so in our day and age, as we are surrounded by challenges and difficulties that keep building fear in us. Our faith is not a casual faith, but one that demands a lot of us. It also reminds us that we are not alone in this journey, that we journey together. We hold one another, we support one another. Wherever you are on this journey, we are glad you are here today. Our call to worship. Today I selected words by Esther Hurlburt. It is not always easy to find love at the center. There is not a set of easy instructions numbered 1 through 7 or maybe 8. It is not always easy to find love at the center. Today, in Covenant, we celebrate our living tradition, which invites us to take deep breaths of our fresh air into the newness of every day. So our minds, hearts, and spirits will be continually nourished. It is not always easy to find love at the center. So for today, we gather in Covenant to celebrate the reality that love is at the core of our beings, and that love will guide us if we open ourselves to the challenges which love requires of us. May we accept this challenge with dignity and grace. Let us worship together. We will begin by lighting our chalice, which is a symbol of both the heritage of our past and hope for the future of this church. And today the chalice will be lit by Stephanie Grollman.
We light this flame to remind us love is the center. As we grow and connect, mature and deepen, love remains the center. When the light of truth burns all else away, love remains.
A covenant is the promise that we make with one another about how we will walk together as a community, as a congregation. Please join me in reminding ourselves of this promise. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and freedom, and to help one another. I offer a prayer by Sheldon Bennett, and afterwards we'll have a moment of silence. O deep mystery of our lives, voice in our hearts and light in our minds, in the joyful freedom of our fellowship, we are here together as adventurers called forth in spirit, moving, yearning, questing, pushing the limits of our lives outwards to what is more loving and just, more beautiful and true. We here today are people of spirit. We are struck in awe before the great mystery of the cosmos. We are powerfully moved by a deep concern for our world and our care for one another. The Spirit moves also in us as a free religious community, filled in a common covenant of aspiration, commitment, and hope. May ours be a faith that is more than just beautiful words and high ideals. May ours be a faith of vitality and commitment, a faith that burns in our hearts and blazes in our minds. May ours be a faith that shines to the world as the light of deeds and the witness of actions. A source and spirit of our lives, may we respond boldly to your call to adventure, for justice, for love, and for joy. Amen. Let us breathe together in silence and pray the prayers of our own hearts. I will begin the time with the sound of our singing bowl, and then when music begins, you're welcome to rise and light the candle in our window, in memory, prayer, or celebration. As you light the candle, may it remind you that we are all connected. What affects one affects us all. The reading for today comes from a sermon that was delivered during the UUA, Unitarian Universalist Association General Assembly in Kansas City 2018. It was delivered by Susan Frederick-Gray, who was the president of our association at the time. And you can see her on the which side is it for you? Right. The one with the yellow stall. There are only two with yellow stalls, side with love stalls. So the one that's her. And her sermon was called No Time for a Casual Faith. As a people of faith who say we are committed to justice, compassion, and equity in human relations, as a faith that says we are committed to the inherent worth and dignity of all people, as a faith that says we are committed to respect for the interdependent web of all life, we have a role to play. Our faith is calling more from us in this time. And two things are absolutely clear to me right now. Number one, this is no time for a casual faith or a casual commitment to our values, your community, your congregation, your soul, and your faith. No time for casual faith. And number two, there is no time to go at it alone or to think that we are in this alone. This is no time for a casual faith. As Unitarian Universalists, we are first and foremost religious communities that practice love as our foundation. We are living in times of heartbreak, violence, and pain. And in this time, we need communities that remind us of our humanity. And we need communities that teach us how to love in the midst of the propaganda and politics that tell our hearts to be afraid. We need communities where we can fully bring our heartbreak and the fullness of our pain and anguish, and be reminded that we are not alone, but that we are held by a love that never lets us go. And we are held by one another, and we will never let go. We need communities of both courage and deep practiced compassion, of resilience and resistance. We also have a role to play in making a stronger commitment to build something new in our communities, in our congregations, to make a stronger commitment to nurture healthy, radically inclusive communities, and the powerful practice of this faith that helps us build a courageous and fierce embodied love and nurtures what is best in us as human beings. Unquote. A week ago, I was able to visit Alaska. It was my first time to be able to go up there to see the beautiful mountains and glaciers and wildlife there. I saw several moose, bald eagles, and bears. One, the grizzly bear, was in the middle of the river. He had caught a fish and was eating it and posing for pictures. Just a few yards away from fishermen. But on my first day in Alaska, we went to the Alaska Native Heritage Center to learn more about the lives of the Alaskan natives. And this is one of the things that I would like to share with you, the totem poles that I saw there. And you can see them on the slide up there too. These totem poles are symbols of communities, history, values, and traditions. They are not a base of religion. They are more like a monument that tells tales of Alaska people, native people, and cultures of Alaska life and death, the area's animals and communities, of their thanks and their remembrances. The four clans, or four groups of Alaska natives, have a particularly rich history involving these totem poles, and I will try to pronounce them correctly. Eyak, Tlingit, Haida, and Tsimshian cultures. They carefully select the tree that will be used for the totem pole to maintain the balance in the vegetation. And then they perform a ritual of gratitude and respect in honor of the tree. And then the carving itself is unique among the Alaskan natives. These communities rely on animals for sustenance and inspiration, and each animal holds its own spiritual meaning. This is why the totem poles depict the animals that are of high importance to their lives. So if you look at the totem pole on your very right at the end that's taken inside the building, this one is a unique combination of two culture groups, Tlingit and Haida. And if you can see, the very top figure represents Haida watchmen, whose role is to alert the pole's owner to the approach of an enemy or any other happenings of which the owner should be aware of. Then the two bottom figures are the raven and dog salmon. I hope you can make it out there. There's a big peak for the raven, and then a salmon, kind of long fish right there, that represents Alan Williams Clan. That's the group that had this totem pole. And within both of these cultures, Tlingit and Haida tribes, raven is a symbol of creation, transformation, knowledge, prestige, as well as complexity and subtlety of truth. Salmon is a symbol of perseverance, self-sacrifice, regenerosity, and prosperity. But then there's one more thing at the very bottom. I mean, do you see a box? There's like a box at the very, it's a bentwood box also with a dog salmon design on it, and which safeguards the clan's values. And this is the part that struck me the most. Their core values, their center, is at the very bottom, safeguarded by animals, by salmon and raven, and then by watchmen. Their values are not on the top, they're at the core, at the base, at the bottom. When I was thinking about this, I had shimmers. How profound it felt to me, and how meaningfully it represents how we live our lives when we are clear on what is at the center of who we are. I couldn't help but connect this with our values as Unitarian Universalists. The core of our faith, love, as the foundation of all who we are and how we're called to be. If you remember this summer, Article 2 was changed, and it lists the values that we have currently. So what is our UU faith all about? So when this article was adopted, it lists the main core values that we have. And since this is a very new thing for us to have them rewritten in this new way, I believe that not many of us can recite them by memory. We could have competitions at this point, probably trying to see who would win. But I thought that as a tool to help us remember, I would like to introduce you to another animal. I was told that some of you will recognize this as a Peppa Pig. Yes? Okay. Well, the Peppa Pig has a jet on the back today. So today, this pig is getting a new name. Jet Pig. This is an abbreviation that some of my colleagues came up with. I don't know how, don't know the history. But if you think about Jet Pig, it will help you to recall all the new values. Jet Pig. Justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. All we needed is a new spirit animal, right? By the way, if this is yours, please let me know. I found it in the Founders Hall. I will have it in my office so that the new Jet Pig can live in our office, and maybe there's somebody who's more artistic and create a better jet right here. This one I borrowed from our play box, children's toy box that I have in our house. For any child that comes over, they get to play in there. So I borrowed it from there. But all these values that I mentioned, all of these are centered in love as the core of who we are as Unitarian Universalists, as a core of who we strive to be. And this love is not a romantic notion or a weak, some kind of sentimental thing. This love requires us to do some daring things. During World War II, Unitarian Service Committee was very instrumental in securing official-looking documents to help people escape Nazi persecution. These documents needed a seal, and Hans Deutsch, an Austrian refugee artist, created a flaming chalice, which we later chose as a symbol for our Unitarian Universalism. And we're still using it. We light it at the beginning of the service and extinguish at the end of every service. To Hans Deutsch, this symbol evoked the ideas of sacrifice and love. Our chalice stands as a reminder of that love and continues to call us to love and hope. But our times are no less difficult and continue to ask daring things from us. We know how daring it is to be on the side of love here in Texas. Our pride flag has been damaged and stolen several times over this past year, and we have encountered more challenges than that. We know how daring it is to be a liberal, open faith. And we are careful about how we go forward, but we do go forward. And we keep growing. Just as we heard in the story about the mushroom that keeps growing and provides space for different creatures to hide from rain, we grow and change. Our faith, too, grows and changes. And we, too, seek to provide a safe space to those looking to hide from a fox. And not because we're not welcoming to a fox, but because we take a stance on what we have understood to be right and moral. We just welcomed our newest members in our midst, and we are glad to see more people finding this faith. But friends, you chose to be a part of a unique faith. This faith that gives us so many of us comfort, solace, even a time of sanity for a while, and certainly a place of belonging in this world that is full of misinformation and hate. But this faith is not an easy faith. It is not a casual faith. Because our faith calls us to be open-minded, to accept all people, and not just accept, but also take some risky stances, from embracing different religious views to taking an ethical stance in words and actions about issues that are public and political. As Susan Frederick-Gray reminds us, this is no time for casual faith. We need communities that teach us how to love in the midst of the propaganda and politics that tell our hearts to be afraid. We need communities that hold love, practice love, and provide a safe space from all foxes out there. If you are like me, then you too may be dreading the election that is coming, because the very core issues that we hold dear are at stake at these elections. Democracy is at stake. LGBTQ persons' rights are at stake. Our reproductive rights are at stake. I'm not going to endorse any candidate here, but what I'm going to say is that love calls us to participate in the politics and to discern our vote based on our values and moral judgment. Our faith and our values can help guide us to make that decision and help us encourage others to participate. This is why next week we are starting the You the Vote postcard campaign. And we know that ethics of love lives at the heart of our faith. It compels us to demand justice in our world, but also fierce in how it calls us to courageous conversations, to radical practices of welcome, compassion, forgiveness, and belonging. Kathleen Norris once said, "Even when I find church boring, I try to hold this in my mind as a possibility. Like all the other fools who have dragged themselves to church on Sunday morning, including the pastor, I am here because I need to be reminded that love can be at the center of things, if only we will keep it there. Maybe you too come to church to be reminded of this possibility, that love can be at the center of all things, that there is goodness in us and in the world. May love be the energy and resilience that we need to keep on loving, keep on learning, keep on growing, to keep on showing up for each other and our neighbors in resistance and in creating a safe space. May it be so. Amen. As our worship time comes to a close, it is now time to extinguish our chalice. Stephanie, would you come extinguish it? Please. And please join me to say these words together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you. Phoenix Bell-Shelton Biggs says these words. Friends, thank you for your witness to all that exists on the margins. Thank you for your commitment to hold yourselves and one another in great and steadfast love. Moving forward from this place, may we continue to nurture our spiritual growth. May we continue to travel along the winding pathway to healing from whatever brokenness we individually and collectively hold, knowing that we do not journey this path alone. May we go forth, knowing that love is with us and will not let us go, and we will not let each other go. We'll keep holding one another in love. Amen.